scripts to automatically update, or you just copy and paste whenever you feel necessary. But that's kind of, you can still do it. Whether you're using shapefiles, file geodatabases, or SDE. SDE is obviously the best way to go because you can build replication, and that's the most efficient way. So I'd recommend that, but the moral of the story is it's completely doable, and I think that it's the future of the way things are going. So I'm not going to spend very long here. This is just a file geodatabase on our server that we kind of test stuff for our map services and whatnot. And for example, I mentioned City of Canton earlier and how it's under construction. We had some of their data in there that we use to test map services, kind of dangle a carrot, show them what we're capable of, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of how it rolls. And then on this slide I want to show up, so what we've done with our ArcGIS servers, we pointed everything to the Stark County Replica GeoDatabase. In doing that, it kind of removes a lock from our production geodatabases. I want to talk about that for a second. So if I'm working for the auditor and I'm editing my parcels, I have a lock on that geodatabase. But if I point my ArcGIS server to the production geodatabase, that's another lock. And that's not cool. We don't like locks. Locks are bad. So by replicating everything to the Stark County Replica GeoDatabase and pointing ArcGIS server to that lock is no longer on our production geodatabase. So that's the other thing that makes it totally awesome. Did I talk about that? So ArcGIS server, as most of you should know, if not, be wowed. You can create tile cache services, map services, and feature services for web consumption. And when I talk about web consumption, I'm referring to ArcGIS Online, Stark GeoView, it's an in-house application through the internet, and the Stark County Sanitary Engineer app. I'm going to talk about those briefly, real fast. So that's the web. ArcGIS Online kind of really opened the doors for us as far as being able to disseminate our GIS data to everyone in the county. And it's really been totally fantastic. Currently we're working with 15 entities within Stark County, and they've all been leveraging ArcGIS Online to consume our GIS data. It's completely awesome. I recommend it. I don't know. Then there's ArcGIS Collector, and from the maps that you make on ArcGIS Online, you can use ArcGIS Collector for field editing and things like that. And actually the other day, I pulled up our ArcGIS Online account and I noticed we just talked to Canton Township on Thursday, and they're already out in the field collecting their own signs now. It's pretty awesome. And there's a zoomed in view of the new iPhone with ArcGIS Collector on it. I got one left, that's good, thank you. So this is Stark GeoView, I mentioned it briefly. This is kind of neat, I'm not gonna spend too long on it, but what it does is it provides an interface for all the mapping that we at the Stark County Auditor Office can provide, but it also gives a window to our CAMA database. And if anyone wants to talk to me about that later, I will in more detail, but it's just an internal application that we use to leverage the GIS and the CAMA. The Stark County Sanitary Engineer app is currently under construction, and we got to get the GeoDatabase set before we can begin on that. So then that's everything. That's how ArcGIS Server talks to the internet and uses all the data from our Stark County Replica GeoDatabase. So let me switch gears here for a moment. Okay, so some of you are in the audience saying, hey Joe, your architecture is fine and all, but how do I use it? So this is an example of an internal person editing using the Stark County Replica and an SDE GeoDatabase. So over here, can everyone still hear me? Okay, I'm naturally loud, but I worry. Okay, so if I'm this guy, and I would like to edit my parcels and my boundaries, but I want to see the zoning of the roads so that I have contextual information, I pull into my map the parcels and the boundaries so I can edit, and then using the Stark County Replica, I can pull in the zoning and the roads to view. And that's kind of how that works. It's pretty awesome. This looks complicated, but it's certainly the best thing I've ever come up with. So I'm going to walk you through it. Where to start? Okay, so as I showed you in the diagram, we spun up an SDE GeoDatabase for the City of Alliance. That's here on our Stark County IT infrastructure. Then using ArcGIS Server, we created feature services. And this is where it gets exciting. You can bring your feature services into your ArcMap desktop. And then if you right-click that feature service, you can hit make a local copy. I have to say this now, it's only for ArcGIS Desktop using advanced or standard licenses. So, but anyway, you right-click, you hit make a local copy. It takes the extent of your map, puts it into a file GeoDatabase where you can make your edits, which is totally awesome. Do your edits, you hit save, and then you can sync it back through the feature service and through the internet, through ArcGIS server, back to the SCE GeoDatabase. So what I've done here is I've effectively gave the City of Alliance their own SCE GeoDatabase without them having to have the infrastructure necessary to run one. So they didn't have to buy Oracle, they didn't have to buy SQL, they didn't have to have the box it sits on. All they had to do is have an internet connection. That's awesome. It's totally cool. So now they have a multi-editing environment just through the internet. It's totally cool. So then, like I said here, we replicate everything this to the replica GeoDatabase. And then, so we're going to talk about the green arrow. The green arrow is what I was talking about earlier. We took all the data and created a GeoData service. And then through the web, we can create a replica to a file GeoDatabase on their own IT infrastructure. And why we did that was because Chris Fleury at the City of Alliance, really nice guy. If any of you know him, tell him I said hi. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, he didn't like the way we symbolized our maps. He's like, guys, you know, you guys do your own thing, I'd like to do my own thing. So by setting up GeoDatabase replication through a GeoData service, he has all the data. And it synchronizes nightly via Python script that I put on his hardware. And so he's getting all the changes nightly, and then he can symbolize it however he wants because he's got all the data. It's a day behind, but he has all the data. And then, you know, if he wants to edit anything real time, he goes this way. And then the blue arrows are just talking about how we use the web for ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Collector. Same thing like I mentioned before with map services and junk stuff. How am I doing?
Fantastic.
You're good. 7 minutes.
7 minutes? All right, cool. So we're going to talk about flexible geodatabase design, Kirks and cons. Okay, so the big Kirk for me is departments aren't affecting any other departments anymore. Several times, Sean's the only one that's here that has a geodatabase in our infrastructure, but several times without him knowing, I've taken down our replica, made a schema change, and built it right back up, and it didn't affect him at all. He probably could have left his map open all night, and I wouldn't have known. He wouldn't have known. It was awesome. So that's the best part. And then the other Kirk is you have all the perks of having a centralized data store with the flexibility of many geodatabases. So the big one being schema locks. You can change your schema whenever you want, and that's what gives you the flexibility. And it's scalable. I kind of hit on that already. So moving on to cons. The cons is it's complicated. Being honest, it took us a while to figure it out, and once we did, I mean, it's completely awesome, and I have 100% faith that this is the way to go. Feature data services and feature classes have to have, if they're the same, you must rename. What was I talking about? Oh, using the Alliance example, they edit the same data as other county entities, so we had to rename them by adding the prefix, and that's how we solved that problem. I already talked about that. So final thoughts. This approach has really opened the doors to collaboration for different GIS departments within the county. Using the replication, we've been able to serve our different county entities that don't have a GIS department. They just use ArcGIS Online, and that's how they get the data. But for your more advanced GIS departments like City of Alliance, City of Canton, we're working on Massillon. That's the way we've been able to give them more GIS tools that they didn't necessarily have before because they were doing things, other ways. So to me, this is a real solution to collaboration, and I guess I'll open the floor for any questions. You, sir.
Your entities that are participating,
Yes.
what so are they using ArcGIS Desktop as the editing software, and then just going through? Are you setting up things through the internet, like you showed in the last example, or what's the sort of plan with how they're going to do the editing in these departments?
Okay. Yes, you're using ArcGIS software. So I do want to clarify a little bit. The City of Alliance, the City of Canton, and the City of Massillon as well as the other county departments, are using ArcGIS software. Everybody else, so the remaining 10 are using ArcGIS Online, just at that point. Then to your other question, the City of Alliance is using ArcGIS Desktop, and they went out and bought a standard license. They already had basic, but in order to give them what I can offer here, they went out and got the standard. And so basically all you do is, in your ArcMap, you can connect to a GIS server as long as you have a URL. And they brought those feature services into their map by hitting that data button and referencing that server URL. And once it's in their ArcMap, it's there. It's just an internet connection to the GeoDatabase. And when you hit make a local copy, it takes whatever extent you have, and then it'll make a local copy like I mentioned. And that's how you do it. So yeah, ArcGIS software and standard license. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I just was curious about what limitations the people that are using ArcGIS Online have. Obviously, with desktop, they have more capabilities, but I just...
Oh, okay, you want to know more about limitations for the ArcGIS Online stuff?
Okay, this is sort of a second question, but yeah.
Okay, it's kind of limited to how we set it up. Some entities only want to view it, so we just create map services and they just view it. Other entities, like I mentioned, Canton Township, doing their sign inventorying with Collector, so we created a feature service. And through there, in ArcGIS Collector, they're actually editing the data in our replica GeoDatabase through the web that way. So it's scalable. You know, you can either view or edit, and then we just set it up whatever we need. In the back with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, how do you have the security stuff as far as are they coming through the DMZ, or are they hitting you behind your firewall to grab those?
We do have DMZ and a web adapter. We kind of followed, what did we do? We followed Esri's, what are they called? Suggested practices. That's not the word, but go with it. As far as having a DMZ and then pointing a web adapter to our local infrastructure there. So that's all set up, and it's secure. Security's not my thing. I design GeoDatabase. Go ahead. Nice lady in the back. I'm glad you asked that question. You probably had more there, but I'm going to stop you because the cool part about being an SDE GeoDatabase is you can create versions. So if you had somebody that you didn't necessarily trust and wanted to get them to collect in the field, you could create your map service or feature services off of a version. So they would be doing all the editing in the version, and then you as the QC person could see the version, check it out, make sure it's okay, and then rec and post. We currently don't have anything like that because we got a lot of faith in our Stark County people, but it's possible. And that's what's awesome about SDE. Did you have any more?
Well, I was just going to say, if you don't have it and would recommend doing it, where would that step be?
Yes, I would recommend it, but it's one of those things. Somebody was telling me it's not necessarily necessary, but so where would the step be? And my answer to you is here. So there's a thing there. No true. So here's all the data in the replica GeoDatabase, and ArcGIS server points to that. And why it happens here is you would create your version off of the SDE GeoDatabase, and then using that connection, because you can path a connection to the database using a version, then you create your map in your map service through ArcGIS server, and it goes that way. Yes, I recommend it. No, we're not doing it. We should do it. But it's possible. Matt Ryan's first, and then Brandon, you're next.
You mentioned that
Oh, correct, and then we're done. Two more. You're up, and then Brandon.
You mentioned that the city of Canton is now using ArcGIS Online and then they collector right after you train them.
Canton Township, yes.
Are they using their own ArcGIS organization account and you're sharing it to them, or?
We're sharing our ArcGIS Online account. Because we had so many licenses, I think we had 25 users.
Yes.
And so we gave them one of our user accounts, And, what?